All right, today I'm going to talk about my train journey from Portugal to Germany. Who am I? I'm Clara. I'm your host of Travel Devil, and I'm going to share my story about traveling by train from the south of Portugal, Faro, to North Middle East of Germany, to Leipzig. Welcome to Travel Devil. I'm your host, Clara Francken, and in a world full of mass tourism, we're here to talk about unconventional travel. Let's get into it. First, I want to explain to you why I was in the south of Portugal, how I chose to travel by train, and I also have a lot of questions that I received through social media, so I'm going to answer a couple of them as well. So, first things first. I was in the south of Portugal. Why was I there? I was there for the Creative Green Adventure by Behind the Greens, which is a media company doing filming about a lot of eco-responsible projects. Basically, we went to see a couple of projects. We stayed at some organizations such as the Marine Research Organization called AIM. We stayed at other organizations as well. We did many things such as planting trees, learning about rewilding, learning about mushrooms. We helped dolphin researchers. We filmed a lot of things. We saw chameleons. We built houses for birds. We cleaned out houses of birds. We did a beach cleanup. We did many more things that don't come at the top of my mind right now, but it was such an amazing experience together with other creators. This whole thing was organized by Margarita Samsonova, also known as Margrini on social media, who I also interviewed for a previous episode. Go listen to that. We talked about wildlife safari and volunteer tourism. So basically, she shared some red flags about wildlife safaris, where the volunteers' money is actually going. And we talked about, the overpromotion of the big 5 animals and what are good things to look out for when you're going to see a safari. But all of that you can listen in the previous episode. It's called episode 16, Red Flags for Wildlife Safari and Volunteer Tourism with Margreen. All right. She also discussed a little bit the topic of greenfluencing and its role in promoting eco-friendly travel. And greenfluencing is what I am doing right now. I don't know if I definitely see myself as an influencer, but I think I'm kind of friendly with the term greenfluencer, because I'm a content creator and I love doing things eco-friendly, right? So back to my trip, I flew there by plane. I took the airplane, the Ryanair. Oh, this is not a promo, not at all. But I took a Ryanair. It costed me, I think, 27 euros something. And then I was able to also fly back for 40 euros, but I decided not to fly back, but instead to do a longer journey back by train, because I didn't want to have the sustainable impact of traveling twice by airplane. Well, I also needed the financial possibility of doing so and the time to do this trip. But since I'm a freelancer, I'm able to work from home, work from anywhere. So that was totally okay. So there starts my trip in the south of Portugal. I left from Faro and I went through Sevilla by bus. Basically, I went away from Portugal as soon as I could, because the issue with Portugal is that the train system is not great there. You can ask a lot of Portuguese people, they will tell you the same. So what I did was get out of Portugal as soon as possible. I took the bus to Sevilla, and then I was going to take the train to Valencia. But as you might know, there was a lot of rains who had an impact on the city of Valencia. I was going to stay there because basically I laid out my trip in such a way that I'm paying for the trains, but I'm not paying for accommodation because I do have some friends across Europe where I have couches to crash. So the first day was going to be in Valencia, where my friend lives. But sadly, the day of my travel, I had to cancel it all because my friend was telling me that the day before my trip, it was raining again very heavily. And the trains in the morning of the day I was leaving, the trains were cancelled. And so basically my train was in the afternoon. I would probably have been able to arrive there, but it wasn't sure. Maybe I could have been stuck on the road somewhere. And at the same time, the road between Valencia and Barcelona was closed that day as well. So I didn't want to be stuck in Valencia and then lose all of my following tickets because, mind you, these tickets were not cheap. So I decided to reroute my whole journey, and arriving in Sevilla, the only thing I could do is asking for a refund for my both of my tickets and directly booking a new ticket to Barcelona. Actually, I tried to get directly, like instead of getting a refund, just getting a new ticket to Barcelona, but that was not possible because you need to change. Well, you cannot change your ticket. You can change your date, but you cannot change your destination. And because my destination was first to Sevilla and then to Barcelona for a couple of days after, I couldn't directly reroute. So I had to cancel both tickets, and then both tickets together were, I think, 70 euros. And then I had to buy a new ticket, which was about like 120 euros. So like double the price, which wasn't nice considering that I already paid a whole sum for this full journey. But I mean, this had to be done because I didn't want to get stuck in Valencia either. So I arrived in Barcelona. I called a friend of mine who lives there and who was able to host me that night. I was like, hey man, I'm coming tonight. Do you have a couch? Can I crash on your couch? And basically I had an amazing time seeing him. Then I stayed at another friend for a couple of days, which was really beautiful and such an amazing experience. I love Barcelona. I've been there already another time as well by train as well. Like last time I came, it was by train, and the time before that it was by car, actually, with my family. But yeah, so it was in Barcelona, and then the next step was to take the train to Geneva. Geneva is in Switzerland. So I have another friend there. He works for CERN. So I was really excited about visiting him because I haven't seen him in a while either. So I took the train to Geneva, which is also going through Valence. Valence and Valencia are not the same. They sound very similar, but this was Valence TGV in France. So I took the train to Valence and then another train, which was more regional, to Geneva. And so the second regional train was the first train I had, which didn't require any seat reservation. So basically, on the other trains, they were from Renfe, from Spanish company, and they required a seat reservation. Also the French trains, they usually require seat reservations if it's long distance, if it's a fast train, but the regional trains, they don't. So I arrived there in the evening, my friend picked me up, and then I did home office from CERN, which was pretty cool. I saw the city of Geneva as well, and I continued the roads then to Paris. Why Paris? Actually, I could have just continued directly from Geneva to Leipzig, but I had a bachata festival in Paris, which I was going to attend anyway. So instead of going back to Germany and then a couple of days later taking the train to Paris and back, I decided to just stay a little bit longer in Geneva and to go to Paris directly from there. So I met up with my friends, my dance friends in Paris, and I had an amazing weekend over there. The Paris Bachata Festival, loved it. It was a lot of fun, a lot of dancing. And then after this whole journey, we're going back to Germany. So this was the last train that I didn't took with with me, myself, and I. This time I was with a bigger group. So we were 4 people and we traveled to Leipzig all together. And we actually stopped in, I've got to check it for a sec. Oh yeah, Karlsruhe. So we had Paris, Karlsruhe, Leipzig. And I had forgotten how big Paris is because this Bachata Festival was called the Paris Bachata Festival, but it was definitely, in my opinion, not in Paris. I mean, we took 1.5 hours just to get to the train station. So yeah, we actually wanted to go with public transport, and we took a cab because it was like pouring rain and we had to change, and everybody had like big bags. So we're like, yeah, let's take a cab. And then we took a cab for like a hot sec. And then we were like so stuck in traffic. We told them like, no, just drop us off at the nearest station and we will continue by tram actually, or metro, whatever. Yeah, then I arrived back via train, Paris, Karlsruhe, Leipzig. And that's how I got home. This whole journey costed me almost 400 euros, and I could have flown with Ryanair for only 40 euros. It took me 4 days of traveling, and I could have gotten there within a couple of hours, but I would still say it was totally worth it. I had a lot of fun, and I have a lot of things that I learned from this journey as well. So all of that being said, that was my journey. Now I want to share some answers on your questions, because I got a couple of questions and I'm going to answer some of them. So let's go to Instagram. Okay. What was your favorite part of the journey? Actually, they're asking for the favorite and worst part of the journey, but let's say, what was your favorite part of the journey? On the first days, we stayed at AIM, which is the Marine Environmental Research Association. They're doing research on marine life, and I'm doing a full episode on what they're researching, which is coming out soon as well. But basically, we saw dolphins. Amazing. I mean, wow, never have I ever thought that I would be so happy by just seeing a dolphin. I was so seasick, and the moment I saw dolphins, I was not seasick at all anymore. What was your favorite part of the journey? I think my favorite part of the journey was definitely, it's always the same, like the train between Paris and Barcelona. Is it Paris and Barcelona? I think so. Yeah, it's a train between from Barcelona to Paris, or from Paris to Barcelona, however you're doing it. This is one long distance train, and I didn't travel this in one trip, but I did already in the past. And this has such an amazing view, like literally the view as soon as you're like in the south of France, you have water, like these lakes that look like they could be salt lakes. I'm not really sure. You see flamingos. It's really beautiful, and you can just look outside, and it's just such an easy road as well, because the fact that you can just travel between like the north of France and then the north of Spain with one train, like all of these kilometers, it's just amazing. I love this train. So if you ever want to do a beautiful train journey in one train only, and you're based in the middle of Europe somewhere, I would definitely suggest you that route, because it's really beautiful and totally worth it. Every time I was in this train also, I somehow connected with other people. Like I remember last time I was sitting with 2 Americans and talked the whole journey. This time I was sitting with Dutch people and we talked. It's a lot of fun. It's a beautiful journey. You can look outside. You don't get like sick of sitting in a train, because it's not like a wobbly route. It's literally just going one straight line. You have a beautiful view. There's food as well. So if you're hungry, there's like a restaurant and snack bars. So I love this part of the journey. Yeah. The worst part of the journey. So the second part of that question, what's your worst part of the journey? I would say, well, I think the train back between Geneva and Paris, because when I was in Geneva, I was going to take the train back to Paris, and I was going to arrive, I think, at like 7 in the evening. And I was waiting in this Geneva train station, and the train wasn't arriving. And instead of like saying there was a delay, there was written like this: there's a delay with no time indication. So basically they knew the train wasn't there, so they were like saying, oh, it's delayed, but they didn't know how long it was going to take to come, and they also didn't have any more information. So that's where I saw really like the problem with cross-border railways, because in Switzerland, they were just saying like, yeah, this is a French train and we don't have the information from the French company, so we cannot tell you anything, which was really annoying. And this was like one part of like the station was saying that, and then you ask somebody else and they were like, no, you have to run to the track, the train might come every second. So everybody's running up, and then nothing's there, of course. We're going down again, and there's some other person working there, and he says like, yeah, the app says that it should come in like half an hour, so maybe you can go grab something, but I would stay close to the track as well. So everybody was basically saying something else, and in the end it was just like a mess of people. Nobody knew what to do. Luckily I was able to like wait a little bit more like outside in a bar where I took a hot chocolate and I sat with some other people who were also a bit stressed, so we're stressing together and taking turns into looking on the screen. But it was interesting to see really how nobody had a clue where the train arrived, like when the train is arriving, if this train will arrive. Like people were also saying like, yeah, the train station, the whole route is going to close at 7 in the evening. If the train doesn't arrive at time, we might not get there at all. So apparently, because there were some working stuff, Bauarbeiten, that's German. Like they were doing some works on that track, but apparently that was only for the following day. But a lot of people were stressed about that as well. In general, just the whole situation was very hectic. In the end, we just arrived. Like the train arrived, but like there was no sound saying like, hey, the train has arrived, just go upstairs to the track. It was just, we're sitting all downstairs. We already passed like the customs. So like the place basically where you have to show your papers because you're passing through another country, basically because France is in Europe and Switzerland is not EU. But yeah, even at this custom place, nobody checked anything. Like literally, I walked through it. Everybody was walking through it, like no control at all. There was a place to check your luggage, but like we didn't need to check our luggage either. So it was a bit like just a border control to have a border control, but then I didn't see anybody. I did see one police officer, but he was just like having a snack. So I don't know. Yeah, basically all of a sudden we just saw a lot of people coming down from the track, and we just asked them like, hey, was that the train to Paris? And then all of a sudden everybody started going up, and then we just followed basically. And then upstairs we saw that this is exactly our train, who was like 2 hours delayed, which was amazing because little did I know that you can get, or little did I know, of course I knew, but I was a bit like skeptic about how much I would get back. But basically I'm talking about a refund. I was expecting a refund, but I didn't know that apparently in France there's 3 different categories of refund. Basically, if your train is delayed for less than 30 minutes, there's no compensation. Between 30 minutes and 2 hours, 25% of compensation. Between 2 and 3 hours, which was my category, 50% of compensation. Yeah. And that was pretty cool to know. So basically I got a refund of 50%, which is already making the trip a little bit more less expensive. So we love a little delay. We don't love the fact that I didn't know anything while traveling. I didn't know when the train was arriving. I mean, this needs to be better. This needs to be better. Like the communication between the countries needs to be better. Definitely. All right. Continue to the next question. How did you get from Barcelona to the south of Spain? All right. So there was this one trip where from Barcelona to the south of Spain. Okay. Well, there was one train. It was a train between Sevilla and Barcelona, and it was quite easy. It was just one fast train. It took me not even so long. So basically I arrived in Sevilla by bus, which was called the Rede Expressos from Alza. So I took a bus between Faro and Sevilla. I left at 10 in the morning and I arrived in Sevilla at 2:15. Bear in mind, there's a little time difference, 1 hour time difference between Portugal and Spain. And then in Spain, so from Sevilla, I took another train, and yeah, basically I arrived like the same day at like 11 something, and I left, I think, at 4 something, like maybe 4:20, and then I arrived at like 11:20-ish or something, and if I remember it correctly. I'm gonna look for the next question. How much did it cost you? Yeah, well, this whole thing costed a lot of money. I did a post on LinkedIn about that as well, because it really did cost me so much money. I was expecting that I would save money by going interrailing, so I did a whole calculation shit for Interrail as well, but it apparently was more expensive with Interrail, because in the countries like Portugal, Spain, France, you need seat reservations. They are mandatory, and these seat reservations are per train. So for every train you take, it's going to be such an expensive seat reservation, with prices going up until like 20 euros for a seat reservation. And bear in mind, seat reservation plus you also need to think about the booking fees. So you're buying your seat reservation, and then you have to pay a booking fee. And you're not even sure if you're going to be able to get that seat reservation if you have an Interrail ticket, because I remember a couple of years ago when I was doing this Interrail trip, from getting the facts right, I did take this journey between Paris and Barcelona. And the problem was that this train, I thought like, oh, Interrail, it's so flexible, but apparently it's not flexible, because apparently there were only 20 seats reserved for Interrail people. So when I was at the station to book my Interrail ticket, to book my Interrail seat reservation, let's say, put it like that, they were like, yeah, but there's already like that amount of Interrail people on the train, so you have to take a train for another day, or you have to change your route, right? So, I mean, taking all of that in mind, it's kind of really annoying to book seat reservations, and then you can do it online, but it's getting better, but it's still not like the best. Plus, Interrail is also asking for a fee, so you're not only paying the reservation, you're also paying the fee per reservation. Well, so that's a lot of money. That was a total over 400 euros. Now I paid somehow like around 400 euros, maybe a little bit less. I think it was 390 something that I paid for my whole trip, which I could have done for 44 euros Ryanair. But yeah, I didn't do that. All right. Let's look at the next question. Are you crazy? Somebody's asking. Maybe I am, but maybe I'm not. Maybe I just think this should be the new normal. This should just be just the way people travel, a bit more conscious. I'm totally aware that not everybody has the possibilities, financial and time-wise, to do this, but still, I think it should not be normalized to just fly to every place just because you want to be somewhere. So really taking the time to feel the travel and feel the fact that, oh, I'm coming from the south of Portugal, like where I'm literally wearing shorts, even in Barcelona, wearing shorts, to then going up north where like it's snowing. Yeah. I mean, you feel the difference, and you see the climate changing through your journey. And I think that's really, really nice and interesting. And it should not be like possible for everyone to just like take such a cheap plane. I mean, there needs to be solutions to make train travel more accessible as well. All right, next question. It's in German. Bist du aus Klimagründen schienengebunden unterwegs gewesen? So basically he's asking if I travel by train because of climate choices. Yeah. Well, of course, yes. That's a big part of my reason, because I want to not keep my carbon footprint too high. I did travel a lot by plane in the past, and I still do sometimes. But when I have the possibility, I try to keep my flights number low. So flying once a year, going back, instead of flying for many little city trips, such as some people business people do a lot of like these trips for conferences. I still don't get it. Sometimes you can really do a Zoom meeting instead of like flying to another side of even your own country. Some people fly within their own country. I do not comprehend that. But yeah, so basically it's for climate reasons, but also I want to mention I'm not a saint. I also do take the airplane sometimes, but I'm trying to avoid it. So in this case, it was possible. I had the time, I had the money, so I did it. Right. And I'm also documenting all of it for YouTube. So there's a lot of YouTube videos coming out about this journey, about what was going on with the eco projects in the south of Portugal, but also about the train back. All right. Another question. Would you do it again? What would you do differently after gaining the experience you have now? Let me think about that. What would I do differently? I think... I don't know. What I would love to do differently is to take less time to figure out all the tickets things. So I hope there will be a solution for that in the future, because I literally this was a whole working day trying to figure out all of these tickets, trying to figure out which one is cheaper, looking on different websites, on the train line website, on Omeo website, and then going back to the original websites, the local websites from the countries, checking all the prices and seeing where's the cheapest, what's the cheapest. It did take a lot of time. So I think, I don't know what's the plan for in the future if I do this again. Of course, if I do this again, I already know where to look and where not to look. I also think I maybe shouldn't lose so much time with trying to Interrail in countries where seats reservations are mandatory, because it just doesn't make sense anymore. Definitely, I'm not youth anymore. I recently turned 28, so I cannot buy the cheap youth ticket anymore. For Interrail, I need to buy the adult ticket, which is for a 4-day trip is €283 for only the ticket. And because this was going to be a 5-day journey, this would have been €318 for the 5-day trip as an adult. And then plus seat reservations was gonna be over €400. And then for youth, the same ticket would have been cheaper, of course. So for youth, the 5-day ticket is €239. And the 4-day trip ticket, if anybody's interested, for youth is €212. But now I'm blabbering with numbers. But yeah, so definitely for adults, it's getting more expensive. But Interrail is fun as well, apparently, if you have kids, because then children under the age of 11 don't have to pay. That's cool. So that's why it's very friendly, for people who have kids or for youth. But for a normal adult, apparently, these tickets were too expensive. So it was cheaper to just buy your tickets one by one. Plus, the advantage of buying your tickets one by one is if there's a delay, you can literally just get a refund for that delay, because that's the responsibility of this train company, and you're not just sitting on this train with Interrail, because with Interrail, if you got a delay, you just you still paid your ticket, right? So maybe I'm even better off like that, especially in those countries. So to respond to that question, what I would do differently is to just maybe not lose so much time trying to figure out all of that. And would I do it again? Yes, I would definitely. Yeah, so there were a couple of questions I wanted to answer. Then I want to say one more thing, because tomorrow is Black Friday, or maybe you're listening to this on Friday. Today is Black Friday. I don't know. It's Black Week. So one thing, first things first. If you buy stuff, try to think responsibly. Try to support your local markets more than you're supporting big websites like Amazon, right? That would be one thing you can already look out for, is just try to buy something local. Try to think responsibly. Do you really need this? Is this a fun Christmas gift, or is this something you actually don't really need? Or is this just a gadget that you will give and then they will probably throw away anyway? So think a little bit before you're buying anything. And if you want to buy an Interrail ticket or another train ticket, maybe this is your time to shine as well, because you can get discounts for Black Friday as well for trains. For example, Renfe, which is the train company in Spain, they have a big Black Friday deal. I don't know exactly, but if you're looking it up, apparently there's tickets that start at like €1, which is crazy to buy a ticket for only €1. And then they have like tickets. You can upgrade your Basico ticket to an Elige comfort ticket, whatever that's supposed to mean, for just 5 to 10 euros. So there's a lot of discounts on the Renfe website, which you should definitely look into. And then the website Omio and the train line, they also have Black Friday deals. So if you want to buy your tickets, maybe today is the day you need to buy one. You can get some stuff cheaper. Plus Interrail. Interrail is also having a discount. I don't know if it's necessarily for Black Friday, but they have a discount going until the 17th of December. And you save 25% if you buy a global pass. Plus, they will donate 5% to the Inrepid Foundation if you buy a promo pass. I don't know what this foundation is doing, but let me check it really quick. Okay, I'm reading it right now on my computer. Basically, if I understand it right, they say like after saving 25% on your pass, you can consider donating to the Inrepid Foundation. So you're saving money, but then you have to actively make the choice to donate. So as I understand it, they're not donating automatically. But if you're interested in donating, they make it easier for you. So basically, you can donate to inspiring organizations such as a cooperative dedicated to regenerating land, some non-profit organizations to protect and support people fleeing their home countries by sea. There's another company they're supporting which is focused on reducing food waste and feeding people in need in Portugal and beyond. So many interesting companies to help as well if you're making a small donation for €5. Okay, but the podcast is not about donating now. It's more about like making an action, making an impact. And maybe this little story inspired you to travel by train as well. So if this did inspire you, I would love you to go out, and maybe this is your Black Friday where you're buying some train tickets. Maybe this is the time you're going to say like, okay, today I'm going to buy my ticket to do this one train journey I always wanted to do. Maybe you go to the Renfe website and you check out possibilities in the south of Spain. Maybe you go to France. Maybe you go like up north somewhere I didn't go. Whatever you're doing, do it by train if it's possible, if you have time, and maybe check the ticket prices on Black Friday to make it a greener Friday, right? No puns intended, but yeah. All right. I think I'm going to round up this podcast at this point. I'm rambling around. So if you have any questions, you can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Clara Francken, Clara with a C, Francken with CK. A Belgium name. I'm living in Germany, but yeah. So any questions, you can drop them in my DMs, or you can write me on LinkedIn, or yeah, anything like that. Oh, and one more thing, I would really, really love if you would rate the show wherever you're listening to this podcast. Please rate the show, because it really is important that the show can keep growing, and I would love for it to reach even more people, to inspire more people. So share this with a friend, or rate this episode with 5 stars, of course, please. This was Travel Devil, brought to you by me, your host, Clara Francken. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to continue the conversation or suggest any future guests, you can go to my Instagram, @Clara Francken. Take care, and I will see you next Thursday.